Well, as you all know out there, we love to chat comedy on this show, and there is a very, very special show coming up on March the 15th. It's the Multicultural Comedy Gala, and it's happening at the Cardinia Cultural Centre. And today we thought we would actually get one of the comedians who is on the bill for the night to chat a little bit about this amazing show that we are all excited about. So welcome to the program, Neel.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Now, Neel, so many of us are excited about this Multicultural Comedy Gala that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about how you've become involved with it.
So, I got approached to be a part of it. I've done a few over the last 2 years, and the organisers are fantastic. We've gone across the country, done a series of shows where there's about 6 to 8 comedians, and we've all got some kind of multicultural background. But there's a bit of everyone there. You know, there's a few British people as well. That's it's still a different culture. So we've got a bit of everything there, and it's an awesome show every time. So very, very much looking forward to this one.
Now, Neil, a lot of people out there would know you, of course. You've been doing stand-up comedy for 10 years. You're part of Network 10's Street Smart. They would see you online as well. But I want to go right back. Tell us a little bit about where you first got your start in comedy and what made you want to pursue a career in comedy.
I started performing when I was in year 6. I think I would have been about 10, and one of my friends in primary school dared me to audition for the school play, and everyone else was really nervous and taking it really seriously, but because it was a dare, I just sort of had a joke with it and got the role. And since then, I kind of fell in love with it. Then I tried stand-up when I was 14, and I did all right. I won a national competition, and I haven't really looked back since. I've been doing it full-time for now 11 years, and very grateful to do anything in the arts full-time. So this has been awesome.
Yeah, that's very young to start stand-up. I've got to admit, I started when I was 40, so there's a bit of an age difference there. What was that like getting up on stage at 14 and doing stand-up for the first time?
Look, I didn't have much else going for me, so I think my prefrontal cortex hadn't fully developed at 14, so I wasn't really thinking about the social repercussions, and as a result, I wasn't inhibited, and I think that kind of benefited me. But now I look back at some of the material I did back then, and I actually cringe. So in a weird way, I think it was an advantage being 14 and doing it.
Yeah. So today, let's flash forward to today now. What kind of comedy would you say that you do for those out there, people out there that have never seen you do stand-up? What kind of comedy do you think that you bring to the stage?
I do a lot of observational stuff, and I do a lot of act-outs and characters, and I do commentary on, different cultures and different groups of people and things like that. That's probably the main gist of what I do on stage, but there's a bit of everything in there. I've tried to not do too many political jokes as of late, but there's always a taste of that as well. And online, I do a lot of satire and short films. So a bit of everything, but mostly observational and character-based.
Yeah, observational comedy, that always interests me. Tell us a little bit about how things come to you. Like, is it just things that you see during the day that you question, or things that people tell you? How do you put that together for your show?
Yeah, literally, just what you said. I just sort of observe things, and I am actually quite introverted, even though my job is getting on stage and performing to people, and so I'm just very observant. I observe the way people interact, and I can recognize patterns between different groups and different types of people, and sometimes I think to myself, oh, that's a bit eccentric, or that's interesting, or that's strange, and then I try and articulate that in a comedic way, but there isn't a set process. I'm not a comedian who can actually sit down and write jokes. Something has to come to me, and then I can maybe write a few jokes from that skeleton, but pretty much what you said, I just observe and present that in a weird comedic way.
Now, you've done a podcast, of course, with one of my online heroes, Friendly Geordies. Tell us a little bit about that podcast, how that all came together, and how that relationship with Friendly Geordies started for you.
I met Jordan in 2013, it would have been, so a very long time ago, back before he was the mob's number one enemy, and we got noodles together, and I just really like the guy. I remember thinking he's extremely intelligent, he's got a lot to say, but I also just like bouncing ideas off him. And then a couple of years later, I wanted to start a podcast. I didn't want it to be strictly comedic. I wanted it to be a hybrid of comedy and commentary or politics, and I thought he'd be the perfect fit. So we started that. We did that for 3 years, and we have 150 episodes out there. And yeah, it did conclude last year, but very happy with how it all went. And with you, I honestly think he's an Australian hero. I don't think that's hyperbole to say, and I hope he can keep bringing truth out to power.
Definitely.
Holding power to account, that's the phrase.
Yeah, you talked before about you not wanting to do much political comedy, and like even for me, like the couple of times that I've done stand-up, and I'm hoping to do more, but the couple of times I've done it, I told a joke once that had somebody come up to me afterwards and get right in my face and make a point that they didn't agree with what I'd joked about. And of course, we've seen what's happened to Jordan over the last couple of years, which I think is just absolutely shocking. Where are we at with comedy in Australia, where once upon a time people could just laugh at a joke and then walk away, but nowadays it feels like they can confront you or have their say at you or online? Where are we with comedy these days?
Yeah, the environment has changed a lot, especially over the last 10 years. I think social media has given anyone and everyone access to comedians with a larger platform, so that's something to navigate. And it's been quite depressing to see how Jordan has had to navigate not only the social media storm, but the lack of support from the mainstream media and also legitimate criminal activity. So it's definitely not good for him, and in a broader sense, it's very new, it's very interesting. Everything's politicized, so even though I said I don't really do political jokes, it doesn't matter what you say. You could make a joke about soap or something, and someone will be like, oh, soap is actually like a right-wing conspiracy, and it's making everyone think about it's just anyone wants to project their political narrative onto anything, so you can't really avoid it now. And I try to just find the silly. That's what I'm specifically this year. I'm just trying to find the silly, and I think sometimes comedians as well can look. It's really good to have a serious point veiled behind comedy, but sometimes the seriousness of the point sort of overwrites the comedy. So it's important to find that balance, and I'm really trying to focus on that, just finding the silly elements of everything we do, and even if it does lean into a few political tangents, I still try to just keep it silly and a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, even like with a show like the shows that you've got coming up, if people comment on them online, do you read those comments, or do you kind of steer clear of it because you don't want to read negative comments?
Look, it's just human nature. You want to see what people are saying, but I do try to avoid it as much as possible. And look, I'd be lying if I didn't say sometimes I write certain questions in the comment sections or edit a clip in a certain way that I know will create an argument in the comments because it's good for the algorithm. So look, there's a bit of back and forth from both ends there, but I try not to, but I inevitably do sometimes. Look, we've got a negativity bias. We're always going to see the one comment that's saying something bad, but for the most part, all of the comments I receive are pretty positive, and there seems to be quite a substantial group of people who find me funny, and that's good considering it's my job. So, try not to read them, but occasionally I do.
Now, getting back to the happier stuff, what have you got in store for us in Pakenham for the Multicultural Comedy Gala?
Well, like I said, a lot of observational stuff. It's newer material that I've been working on for the last few years, and I've got I weave in a few cultural references, but I've got a lot of things about Aussie culture. I've got a story about imagining fighting a kangaroo in like a sort of like UFC Alice Springs event. I've got a few things to say about. I was in Thailand. Like, there's a lot of let's just say, older guys who are getting younger Thai wives, and I've got a few things to say about that
Yep.
I like to think are pretty funny. And then I just got a bit of stuff on my age and being in that kind of cringy millennial phase now, where we're too woke for boomers, but we're not woke enough for Gen Z, and I got a few jokes about that as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's a pretty power packed 15-minute set, and there's a lot of other comedians who are going to do some great jokes as well.
I was going to ask that. When you get a whole range of comedians on a bill like you have got for this comedy gala, do you guys get competitive at all?
No, not really. Comedy's not a very, well, it's not sort of overtly and directly competitive. Maybe, behind closed doors or in our mind, we're like, oh, I want to get the best response. Oh, I think I'm better than that person. But there's never, I would say, like, it's the opposite to rap.
Yeah.
Rappers will just call each other out and do a diss track, and you don't really see that in comedy. No one's doing like a roast directly to their social media of another comedian. I think it would be funny if we did. Like, maybe I should do that. I should just do like a diss roast of Husey or something. And yeah, sometimes I wish we could just. I wish there was a culture of just calling out other comedians, and then I wish there was like because I watch UFC and there's a lot of fighters that will like challenge the fighter for the belt and things like that, but we don't really have that. I can't like challenge someone for like the whatever it is, like the Australian middle laugh championship or something. But I wish I could. But no, look, we're not. We're all very friendly, and I wouldn't say there's any competition. We're all trying to look. If the show does well, look, if everyone does well, the audience experiences a better show.
Yeah.
And we all tend to lift each other up. So it's not really a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
If every comedian performs well, then that's better for everyone individually.
Now, I know you are all friends, but is there someone that you're really excited to be able to be on stage with coming up at this comedy gala? Is there someone that you're really looking forward to seeing their set? Maybe you've never seen them before, or you know that they always bring their A game. Is there someone you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see Nazim because we always get recognized as each other. We were talking about it, like 1 in every 5 people who recognize us actually think we're the other person, and then it's super awkward when we're like, oh, actually I'm not Nazim, I'm Neel, and they're like, no, I think, and then you can see the moment they realize, and they're like, oh, can't do that, can't get the two brown guys mixed up, but. I don't. It's not a malicious thing. We've got a similar sort of style and everything, but I'm definitely looking forward to see his set and maybe even make a few videos with him as well. And I'd say I'm definitely looking forward to him.
Awesome. And I got to see Diana the other night as well at Comedy Gold, and she was on fire the other night. So I'm really excited to see what she brings to the stage as well in Pakenham. So, mate, I guess to wrap it up, what would you like to say to people who are thinking about heading along to the Cardinia Cultural Centre on the 15th of March for this amazing gala?
Stop thinking about it, get the tickets and come along because it's going to be hilarious. And I know all the comedians on there. I've seen their sets. I know them personally. They are going to be a riot and you're going to enjoy it. And I think it's going to sell out. That's the last I heard. So get your tickets really quickly, and I'll be able to chat to you after the show, and you'll have a great night. Definitely. And if you want to grab those tickets, you can grab it at comedygala.net.au.